my show is called Going the Distance, Communication Towers, and it started about 2 years ago. Well, probably about 4 years ago, but 2 years to actually do the work itself. But I was inspired by a couple of things that I can speak about, and one of them was going down to the show one evening with my husband on a Friday night, and we came out and the sun was just setting, and we looked over and I could see the Chateau Victoria with all the receiving dishes on the top, and it was, you know, really quite unique, and the setting sun just lit those receivers up, and they became golden and kind of pinkish, and it was just beautiful. I thought, wow, look at that. And so I said, we have to jump in the car and drive around and you know, take some photos of it in different positions. And so because the sun was going down, it doesn't take very long, so my husband dashed with me and we got over there and saw it. And I have quite a number of pictures of that it was just a beautiful look. And then another time, sort of a more sinister thing, was I drive a lot to Portland because my daughter lives there, and there's a tower on the roadside, but we had been quite late getting off the ferry, and it was dark. It was in the fall, you know, about November, and we were driving in the pouring rain. It's dark, and we're, you know, barreling down this I-5, and it's just, you know, we're trying to get to her place and wondering why we'd even, you know, why we were doing it. We should have stopped at Olympia and got a room or something, you know, because it was pretty dangerous to be driving out there. The wind was blowing at a great rate, and so anyway, we came around this corner, and this tower loomed up over us. It was just like, whoa, it looked like a prehistoric animal, and the wind was blowing, and it just like went, wow, look at that. And my husband was like, can't look, I'm driving, right? So it was, but it was dark and sinister looking. It was like, you know, he was sort of like an attack. So then, you know, that's sort of a kind of two things that I really stick in my mind. But the first thing that ever started me on this sort of journey was the tower that is from Prague. And we went there on a holiday, and I just took a photo of it because I like the structure of it. It's an architectural kind of piece, but it was built like a tower like a rocket. They likened it to a rocket shape. It has pods at the top, and there was a restaurant, and you could see the entire city. And it also had an artist that was a sculptor, and he had made these crawling babies that they attached to this thing, and they go up and down, and they're quite enormous. There's actually a big one in the park as well in Prague. I think his name's David Cherney, I think. And it was quite controversial. They took them off. I think it was only, you know, proposed for a certain length of time, but then people requested them to go back on, so they put them back on. And they just look quite unique on there. But this tower was built during the Cold War, and they used it, it was, you know, Czechoslovakia then, and they used it to keep Europe radio out, and they also used it to keep tabs on NATO. So I thought that started me thinking and questioning the use of these towers, because there was quite a lot of censorship that was going on. And then, because we have had this new, you know, experience with Iraq, and they've, you know, journalists are probably the first people to be censored. A lot of their equipment is taken, and some of them are even killed, you know, trying to keep news from getting out. But with our new technology and cell phones, and you get cameras, and instantly you can send these pictures and images, so it's getting harder and harder for dictatorship-type countries to keep that information from getting out, and it's like they're being forced to join the 21st century, right? So that sort of that idea, and I thought, that's really kind of a sinister thing, right? It's propaganda. You know, everything is censored. So then I thought, okay, then there's some really neat things. When I started looking and researching some of the towers, there's one that's from Barcelona that was in the 1992 Summer Olympics, and it's built like a torch carrier, you know, the holder, and it has Gaudi is, you know, a big artist with the mosaics. I mean, he's dead now, but they had an eye at the opening of that tower at the bottom, and they did it all in mosaic to sort of, you know, honor him, I guess, or to do something similar. And it also acts as a large sundial. But it was the broadcasting for the Olympics worldwide, and it was a fun thing, a happy thing, so that there's these sort of opposing things that you get. And I just, I thought, well, I want to, start a dialogue about how this new technology is coming in, and we're having to change to it and adapt to it, and sometimes we just ignore it. We might not, want to deal with it. We want it, yet we find that perhaps it's, bad for our health. Like you wear the Bluetooth, is that causing brain cancer? I've done some, research on, sort of a health issue, things like that, and they still inconclusive. Also, they've looked at honeybees, that their production is down, and maybe the electromagnetic waves, so all the frequencies that are out there are affecting that as well. So there are some health and safety concerns. Even in our own city, the View Royal Golf Club are wanting to put up a tower, a cell phone tower. Just right now, it's been in the news, and the council, some of the members on the city council are trying, they don't want it, and I'm not sure exactly why. Maybe it's a health or just an aesthetic. It doesn't look great, right, on the golf course. And then also in Field, the town, as you come through the Rockies, they haven't had cell phone coverage until just recently, and they had a little get-together where they were almost lamenting the fact that their way of life was going to be really altered by having this cell phone tower in there. The simplistic life was going to change. It was going to become more complex. And so, it does affect us, even though, we still want it, but are we, changing it or not? So that's what my show is about. And if I can just, if it, sparks some interest and some dialogue, that we just need to talk about it and see. Sometimes it's self-regulating, like if people, are burned on the internet or something, a little bit, they make rules and regulations, and so it self-monitors, because these companies want to make money. They want to protect our security and, for ourselves. But so if it stimulates some conversation, then that's what my show is about.